Hey, what's up you guys? You already know what it is. I'm recording this late, so I'm going to do a supercut, give you guys a rundown of the 15 regular. Now it has the dynamic island, basically the same thing on the 14 Pro. So that's on all the base models, the 15 and the 15 Plus. Moving on to the screen, Super Retina XDR display. So it's pretty much the same thing on the 14 Pro. Going on to the camera, it's a big change on the 15 and the 15 Plus is the camera. It's basically the same camera that's in the 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max. So that's great that people who don't want to buy the Pro have option and the ability to have a better camera in a regular phone. They've been riding 12 megapixels for years now. So that's a great improvement to see on the phone. Moving on, another great thing that they have is when you take a photo, you're able to change how it looks in post. So you're able to change the focus from one subject to the next, which is something cool, I guess. The machine learning and all that stuff. Another big new thing that's coming with the Ultraband chip. So they already had one of these in the past phones and in AirTag. So this basically lets you find things easier. They have a second generation one in the 15 and 15 Pro. So this lets you share contacts and things like that coming with iOS 17. So they basically prepared the hardware for that onto the new phones. Another thing with the chip is something with the microphone. It lets you focus your quality if you're in a busy area. It lets you focus on just your voice. So that's something else that's new. So yeah, that's basically all that was updated on the 15 and 15 Plus. You have the camera, you have the wideband chip, and everything else is pretty much the same. So moving on to the 15 Pro and Pro Max. This case is now made with titanium, so instead of the metal, stainless steel, all that stuff framing, they're using titanium and aluminum. So the titanium is allowing the phone to be lighter than the past models without sacrificing the quality and durability. So it's lighter, the edges are beveled, so it's a rounded edge, and they basically shrunk a little bit the chassis on the phone since they're able to kind of compact everything a little bit better compared to the old phones. So it's apparently going to be the lightest phone ever. The borders are better, all that stuff. One thing that's new is the silent button. It's being replaced with the action button. So that's something that's new. I don't really know how much I'll like that. In my opinion, I think it's something that they just kind of were interested in changing to make it look different. You can change different settings on it. So it's basically like the secret iPhone button. Instead of it being on the back, it's on the side. Moving on to the inside of the phone, it's the A17 Pro Chip. So this chip is different from the old one. It has one more CPU core, so that's cool. It's the fastest mobile chip. It's not that much different from the past one, besides it has one more core. Moving on to the neural engine, 16 cores. It's 2 times faster than the past phone with 35 trillion operations per second. So think computers like desktop computers or your CPU. Their main focus was performance, complex applications, and new rendering features. So they worked a lot on the cheap GPU on the phone, so it's 20% faster, which allows for something brand new on the phone, which is ray tracing. Ray tracing is something that you can think of on regular high-end PCs. Your graphics card does ray tracing, so it makes the game look better, more realistic, especially in lighting. You're able to tell. Ray tracing is able to define light a little bit better. So in the past, they used software ray tracing compared to now it's hardware ray tracing. So it has a lot better quality compared to the past. If you're gaming on this phone, it's going to become really, really good. The GPU and the neural engine work together to make that happen. So that's how ray tracing is performed on the phone. This is going to allow Assassin's Creed, like the console version, to be available on the phone. So you're able to play Assassin's Creed on the phone, on the 15 Pro and Pro Max. Going on to the camera, the one difference that they have is something that they're calling focus pixels. It's in both the cameras on the 15. Basically, it allows the camera to focus quicker so you're not interrupted while you're trying to take a picture. And the aperture is 25% bigger. So those are the main differences. And then instead of zooming in on 1, 2, 3 times, they're using focal length. So you're able to have that built into the phone when you're scrolling through the camera. You're able to see the different focal lengths, which is good if you're a photographer. You're able to know that you're getting the millimeter that you want. without having to have a bulky camera. One thing that they're boasting a lot about is the optical zoom on the 15 Pro Max only. Max is 120 millimeters, which is the same zoom on the 23 Ultra. Not the same quality as the Ultra, but the same zoom, 120 millimeters. So basically it's like a big camera lens on your phone. As you can see, normal 120 millimeter focal lengths are big and bulky. So the way they did that on the 15 Pro Max was the tetra prism light technology. So it basically bounces the light that's received in the camera lens 4 times until it hits the sensor, which basically allows you to zoom in and get that focal length zoom. Remember in my previous video, I talked about the Vision Pros. This is allowing you to take video and have it be available to see in the Vision Pros. So it's kind of like a live action video that you're able to see in augmented reality, which I think is probably the coolest part of this phone, but no one's going to really notice that difference until the Vision Pros start to be shipped out. So this is a feature that's kind of just going to be there until the Vision Pros are released for people to use. But I think this will be something that people are more interested in once those come out, and they're going to kind of have better opinions. Alright, so I'm going to keep this real simple. I have Apple's website with the 15 series and the 14, and then I also have T-Mobile's website pulled up with the 14 Pro and Pro Max. They took it off of Apple's website, this phone, the 14's Pros, so you can't see it. But keeping it simple, basically the 15 Pro and the 14 Pro Max are the same phone. There is not much of a difference. So I'm going to go over all the bad things that I didn't like, and then I'm going to get into the stuff that was good. So everything on the 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max was on the 15 Pro and Pro Max. The only thing different from the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max from the 15 Pro and Pro Max is action button on the 15 Pro and on the 15 Pro Max, the 120 millimeter zoom on the 15 Pro Max, a little bit better of a chip on the 15 Pro Max. The camera is the same, and really the shining star of this phone is the fact that it's Type-C. The phone allows you to take spatial video, which will be available on the Vision Pros. And to me, that reminds me of like a memory. Like if you were to ever think of a memory, or if you ever saw the movie Inside Out, it reminds me of like when they were showing memories. So that is the only real difference in the phones. Everything else is the same. Dynamic island, the regular stuff on the camera, the battery life, everything else is the same besides those things, and the body and the colors. Everything else is the exact same. So if you have a 14 Pro, stay with it. If you don't, if you have an older phone and you don't really care about the Pro features, I would recommend getting the 15, because it's basically the 14 Pro, but just an updated version with more colors. So I hope that helped you. I really wanted to keep this simple. I didn't want to go into too much depth, because Apple can make it sound like it's such a great product, but in reality it's really just the same kind of thing in different packaging. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll get back to everyone that I can, and I'm sure other people will comment with you too. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like on the video if you did. Anyway, with that all said and done, you guys have a good one. Peace.